Here we are in Class A1, where we have a team that's basically the San Francisco Giants of Section 5 when it comes to championships. Championships every other year. Talking about the Pittsford Mendon Vikings, who are going for their 4th in 6 years.
Yeah, they've had a good run. They won in. It's funny, Mendon hadn't won a championship since 2000. I beg your pardon, 1999 was their last title. They had a lot of close misses. Todd Julian's team seemed very snake-bitten. And then in 2011, they broke through and won.
Yep.
And now it's been 11, 2013, 2015. So like every 2 years now, you can pretty much lock it in. Mendon is going to win a title. And they're undefeated, which, I asked Sarah Lyons at the Section 5 luncheon about the Class A1 bracket, but also about being undefeated. And is that a burden? And she said really she didn't think so. And you always wonder about a team that's been dominant like they have.
Yeah.
And she said, they've been in enough games, close games, that they don't feel like they haven't been tested. I mean, they just got by HFL last week, 50-45. So, and they played Fairport tough early in this year. That was a tough game for them. So,
plus, I think I recognize some names from their championship lacrosse teams on the team.
Good crossover, yeah. Carolyn Cullen, and that helps them. So let's go to the Section 5 luncheon and hear from Coach Todd Julian and senior guard Sarah Lyons.
These kids play great defense together as a team. We're basically a man defensive team. The kids really buy into it in our help scenarios on defense, and we rebound. We got 4 kids that can go the glass night in and night out. We're not dependent on one kid to get us 20. We're dependent on 4 kids to combine for 20.
This is really fun because this is the time of the year when the teams really come together and our passing's great and our defense is great and we just really work well together, and on and off the court we can't get enough of spending time with each other, and we hope the season will go on for a lot longer so we can keep spending time together.
Presents a lot of challenges and also some opportunities. The challenges are that they've seen us twice and they're continuing to close the gap on us. It's going to be teams that we have beaten in the past. So we gotta further the gap. That's our job. We gotta find things that we can take advantage of that maybe we didn't the first couple times we played, because we know that they have been closing the gap on us.
Well, we've had a lot of games come close to the wire. We had a couple. Well, HFL we actually just beat. Really close game. We beat Fairport earlier in the season. It was a really close game. And so those are like what you would call almost losses. And so we've had the opportunity to see what it would be like to end the undefeated season, but we've been able to pull it out and just barely win. And so I think that is enough to show us that we need to keep winning and that 20-0 isn't really enough, that we should keep going and get more wins on the season.
Jeff, let's go to the pigtail part of the bracket. Greece Athena, the 8-9 game.
8-9 Athena against Spencerport will be they call them the pre-quarterfinal. I just call it a first-round game, right? And it's, both teams have had tough seasons. Athena against Spencerport, a West Side game. And I'm going to go with, when in doubt, James, I always go with the home team. So let's go with the Athena Trojans in this one. They'll get to face Mendon in the quarterfinals. Mendon is just too tough.
I think so, too. And we have number 4, Canandaigua versus number 5, Brockport. Brockport, I remember it got off to a decent start, but...
Yeah, well, lately it's not been so good. They lost 6 out of 7 out of the Blue Devils, and this is actually interesting. They played earlier this week. They played on Wednesday, and Canandaigua won 55-45, so certainly not a runaway. Rachel Simmons with 21 points in that game. The Braves are 10-10. Again, I kind of side here with the team that just won and the home team. I think Canandaigua marches on here, and they'll get a chance at Mendon in the semifinals.
You have number 2 Brighton versus a young number 7 East High team, another team from the city. But how do you like their chances?
Well, I think they played about 2 weeks ago, and Brighton doubled them up, 53-25 basically. Was the final score. Tough to go against Blue Devils when you see something like that. But so I think Brighton, the number 2 seed, have a terrific second season in a row. They were 16-6 last year, now 17-3. I think the Barons move on to the semifinals.
We have number 3 Irondequoit, coached by former Arcadia State champion coach Scott Smith.
Yeah.
And he's coaching his old team.
He's going against his old team. This is, I think, Coach Smith's 3rd year at his alma mater, Irondequoit. But again, he led Arcadia for a long time and won a state title, like you said. Irondequoit's beaten Arcadia twice by 15 and 21 points this year. So obviously, Irondequoit, the 3 seed, the higher seed, is the favorite here. I think they'll advance. They've won 4 straight. They've played some tough teams. And interesting, if there's a sleeper in this bracket, if you can call a 3, again, there's only 9 teams in the bracket, but if you can call a 3 seed a sleeper, I think it's Irondequoit. All 7 of their losses, they're 13 and 7. All 7 of them are to AA schools. So they lost to Fairport, they lost to Penfield, lost a couple times to Schrader. Not that you want to lose games, but again, they lost a good team. So I think Irondequoit marches on here, and it'll be in one side of the bracket. It's going to be Brighton against Irondequoit. And what's interesting to me here is after doing a little analyzation of the Barons season, which has been fantastic, don't get me wrong here, but Brighton's only beaten, they've beaten 0 teams with a winning record this year. All their wins are against teams that were 500 or have a losing record. In fact, they have 3 wins over teams that were 500, Canandaigua and Webster Schrader. 14 of those 17 wins for the Barons against teams with losing records. So that's not the case with Irondequoit. I'm going to, on this side of the bracket in the semifinal, I think the Irondequoit Eagles will advance to the final, and they're going to get a chance to play Mendon. I just can't see how Canandaigua can beat Mendon on the other side of that bracket. And I think it's Mendon against Irondequoit in the final, and just too much balance for Pittsford Mendon. I like the Vikings here, James.
Yeah, I find it hard to go against Todd Julian and his gang. I can't.
He was named Coach of the Year. Again, I think Scott Smith, Smith has won his share of Coach of the Year awards too. But when it comes down to it, to a degree, and I think somebody said this at the Section 5 luncheon, I can't remember which coach he said it, but they actually were quoting, I think they quoted Mark Vogt. They said, you got to have the horses to win. And I think Pittsford Mendon and the Vikings have the horses. So that's the Class A1 forecast. And thanks for watching us right here on Varsity Voices at democratandchronicle.com.